Okay, good afternoon to everybody. I'm Lorenzo Maraviglia, I'm a researcher at INVALSI. And first of all, I must tell you that the title is misleading. Okay, I will talk about the costs of introducing more restrictive criteria, because frankly I don't see no benefits. So don't expect a balanced view, because that's my point of view. Okay, good. Not just many years ago, a lot of time, a lot of energy was devoted to the discussion of technical and mathematical details of statistical models. Okay, not many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I was a student, and it was a world of models without data. A lot of models, very few data. It was a time where economists, sociologists, psychologists learned regression and other statistical techniques with the help of flowers. These are artificial iris. Iris have been for statistics like bees have been for sexual education of children. Okay, it's something which we all have learned upon. And then things have changed. The spread of knowledge economy, the spread of the data revolution drastically changed the picture. And now we have entered a world of data, okay, or data. Some say a world of data without models, meaning that we don't need strong theory in order to understand what's happening, because data can speak for themselves. Obviously, this is the point of view. However, I tell you my impression. I don't feel overwhelmed by data. I feel overwhelmed by questions which require the processing of data. Unfortunately, I can't find so easily the data I need. So it's paradox. I think it's a paradox of scarcity, because the increase in the collection of data didn't go hand in hand with an increase in data availability, in the amount of data made available for public and for academic and for independent researchers. It's like, I think it's like the issue raised by Sam in Poverty and Famine. It's this problem of provision and entitlements. Okay. I think that the question of entitlement, the question of ownership, should be the starting point for any modern taxonomy of data. And I would like to start from here. I think we have to distinguish at least three kinds of data. First of all, we have big data which are owned by big private companies, okay, Google, Amazon, and so on. Then we have data stored in administrative files which are owned by the state or by other public organizations. And eventually there are data and micro data collected through statistical surveys by public or private research organizations. Okay, let's start with big data. The collection of data. Big data is the main core of digital internet companies. It's their core business. And for reasons of economic rationality, these actors have no interest in making this data available. Okay, it's their core business. It's not, they're not bad. This is just economic rationality. Okay, but this is important because a relevant part of data which are collected and produced in data society are not available. Okay, not available to the public, not available to researchers. The question with administrative data is more subtle because it is possible to make administrative data available to the public through centralized decision. Okay, this is what happened with the Open Data by Default directive. Okay, and however, openness by decree, openness by law has its drawbacks. One drawback is the rigidity of the system of access. Well, because once you have set by law which data are available, then for reasons of bureaucratic rationality, an organization doesn't have interest in satisfying specific interests of researchers. Okay, because it's a conflict. It's a conflict between standardized definitions and bespoke, personal, peculiar questions, which are the questions raised by research. So it's another problem. Okay, it's not the same problem. In the first case, it's economic rationality. Here, there is a conflict between research interests and bureaucratic rationality. But in this, in the contemporary picture, we have to keep into account all these aspects. It's a very complex picture. Sometimes my impression is that when we talk about data, we miss something. We miss this level of structural and sociological complexity. We should consider it because it's part of the problem. It's important. We must face these problems. We must face them all together. And I get to the third point. The third point is data collected by statistical organizations or by academic researchers through surveys or other statistical objects. This is a topic which I feel deeply involved in, because for many years I've been working in a local administration, and as part of the statistical and planning department of the local administration, I've been a user of data. And now I have become part of an organization which is mainly a provider of data. So I feel the responsibility to live up the expectations, to live up to the requirements. And I think we should sit at a table and discuss the content. For example, these are statements, these are sentences which are taken from a document which deals with the balance, the potential conflict and the need for balance between data openness and privacy issues. Okay, privacy concerns are increasingly at the forefront of debates about data, and publishers of open data are struggling with identifying and addressing potential privacy issues. Privacy rights are complex and are not absolute, okay? We must seek a balance. Striking this balance requires training, resources, and so on. Okay, this is agreeable, okay? But this is abstract. These sentences must be confronted with the complexity of actors and the different type of rationalities which are at play in this moment. So I think we must make an effort to move forward, okay, this level of abstraction. And I think that we should ask not which data, this is not the starting point, we should ask ourselves which questions do we want to answer with the data that we made available to the public and to researchers. And I will try to give a few examples. The first one is deals with ISTAT open microdata from the labor survey. Okay, that's okay. I got it. Okay, which is the point? The point is that about 1 year ago, ISTAT changed the release format of microdata, of public microdata of labor survey. Okay. Before in the file released and made publicly available by ISTAT, it was included a variable which recorded the nationality of people, the nationality of the respondent. And using these data, which are publicly available, I tried to estimate this. These are employment rate by gender for all major nationalities which are in Italy. Okay, it's blue male and red female. I think so. Okay, so they are point estimates with confidence interval. Technically, it's not a confidence interval because I use the bias. No.
Yes.
Okay, more or less. It's an attempt to quantify uncertainty. That's uncertainty. Okay. And why I did this? Because I didn't find this anywhere. I didn't find any updated statistics on employment by gender and by nationality. So I tried to estimate it from micro data. And when I looked at this data, I thought of, I want to say the name because this is the all important thing that I'm going to say today. I was thinking of Saman. Saman, if you remember, that young Pakistani woman who was killed by, who was supposedly, okay, killed by his family. And well, I think that part of the answer is here. Why? Part of the answer, I think, is here. It's in the rate of employment of women for all major Asian nationalities except China. Okay, but if you look at Bangladesh, if you look at Pakistan, if you look at, I think this is very impressive. Okay, when we aggregate information, when we remove information about nationality, and we aggregate in the simple dichotomy Italian and foreign, we lose this. This is what we lose. Okay, it's not only a matter of privacy, a technical matter. It's a matter. It's deeper. It's Saman. Okay, we are removing Saman from what we are seeing. These are not official statistics. These are estimates made with the help of statistical models. So we can discuss them. But I'm curious. I'm waiting for data from the chances because I would like to see if it corresponds to my estimates. I bet they do. I bet they do. Okay, but this is important. This is another estimate. Another variable which was removed from the release of ISTAT public labor survey microdata is the provincia. Okay. Now data are released but aggregated at regional level. Okay, this is an estimate of the percentage of early school leavers in all 10 provinces of Tuscany. The same caveat. Okay, these are estimates, point estimates with uncertainty. Here, uncertainty is wider because I'm disaggregating data. However, even with keeping into account the level of uncertainty, clearly in this plot there is an outlier. Okay, you agree? There is an outlier. Okay, this is vital information for policymakers, for decision makers. Why? Because the outlier in this context is Provincia di Prato. Okay, why Prato is an outlier? Prato is totally different from all other province regarding the composition of foreign students. 70% of foreign students are from China. Okay, in Tuscany, in a provincia where the large majority of students are from Asia, the percentage of dropout is almost twice that of other provinces. Why this is important? This is important because the composition of foreign immigration is changing also in the other territories, and the share of Asian immigrants is increasing. Asian immigrants don't speak Italian at all. Okay, in Tuscany, it's not the same everywhere, but in Tuscany they tend to form quite close communities. Okay, with linguistic problems or economic problems, because the dropout rate in Prato is linked to the economic condition of these families. These boys are sent to work very young, okay, so they don't finish the study. But if in other provinces of Tuscany the composition is changing, well, we can't, maybe we must reconsider our expectations of a declining trend in dropouts. Okay, this trend, if the composition of the students changes regarding nationality, is not so granted. We can take it for granted. Okay, so this is vital information for local decision makers. If we aggregate data at regional level, we lose this. Okay, because at regional level we have an overall rate for Tuscany, which is quite medium rate, but we are losing a lot of information, a lot of vital information for decision makers. INVALSI. At INVALSI we face the same kind of problems. We have to, for example, we have to decide at what level of geographic disaggregation, at what level of disaggregation in geographic terms, in terms of nationality, in terms of type of school attended by students. We have to make decisions on these specific points. And what is at stake? It's not a technical or juridical problem. It's this kind of knowledge. This kind of knowledge which is vital for efficient decision-making process. For example, using auxiliary information collected with INVALSI questionnaire, we could estimate the percentage of students living in family without PC, which don't have a PC, which is okay. But I will finish before I finish. We can estimate this information. This information was vital when, at the beginning of the pandemics, okay, and we can aggregate this information, for example, at labor market areas, sistemi locali del lavoro level, which is, okay, this one. Okay, this is the indicator, the percentage of students living in families without a computer aggregated at labor market areas level. But we can also aggregate this data at municipal level. Most measures, social, educational, political, local measures are implemented at municipal level. So if we aggregate at higher level, we lose the possibility to support local decision-making process at the level where decisions are effectively taken. So it's a very delicate point. I think we should begin to discuss these points, these topics. It's not only a matter of privacy. Obviously, privacy is part of the discussion, but it's not only a matter of privacy. We risk to miss basic questions which pertain to the content of knowledge and its implications. So, the conclusion is that the issue of openness of data forces us to think of content and value of our data. And that's, I think, what makes this topic worth to be discussed. Thank you.